Hello everyone, it's Alex from Bad Decks Play Badly, and this is, well, my newest deck I've come up with. I've called it Inspired Vehicles. If you like the deck, please like, please subscribe, please comment, give me some tips. All of it is very much appreciated. Yeah, I think I'll just go straight into it. So this deck is built around vehicles, as you can see here. The usual vehicle sort of list, I guess, except this one actually. So the whole point in vehicles is that you tap a creature to be able to use it as a creature. So it's not a fact until you tap a creature. You know, with crew 1, obviously a creature's got, is it 1 power? Yeah, it's power, isn't it? So that's kind of what the deck's built around, is essentially just using vehicles to smash face and gain us card advantage and all that stuff. However, because there's an inspired mechanic, and I've always thought, well, and inspired cards would be the perfect things to crew vehicles, because when they untap, you get extra value on top of it. So I kind of thought I'd build a deck around that. I'll just start doing the 1-drops, and I think you guys will get the idea. So for 1-drops, I got 4 copies of, oh no, is it 3 copies now? No, 4 copies. So I was doing a bit of tinkering. I've got 4 copies of Night Market Lookout. It doesn't have inspired, but when it becomes tapped, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. That's absolutely great for us because it's going to be tapped a lot, and you know, we want to keep ourselves in the game and slowly drain out our opponents. It's great, and even by itself, if they've got nothing on board, we can just keep attacking, and it's gonna, you know, it's gonna mount up some damage on them, which is pretty sweet. I've got 1 copy of Gul'Draz's Assassin. There'll be a lot of one-offs in this deck, and I think you'll see why later on. I just really like this card. I just think it's the amount of value that you can get from just a 1-drop. It's just great. You can kill so many creatures with this. The level up is a bit pricey at 2, but I mean, I personally have been absolutely smashed by this this card a few times. But yeah, great 1-drop. This is the main 1-drop though. When you've got a lot of inspired creatures, a Springleaf Drum, this is fantastic. So you can tap an untapped creature you control, add one mana of any colour. So this helps us kind of ramp, as it were, just to, you know, get our vehicles down a bit sooner. But also we get to tap our inspired creatures without having them attack, because a lot of them are quite puny and weak. So the fact that they attack is kind of, you know, they're going to get blocked or killed or something. So to be able to tap stuff without vehicles, I guess, and to add mana, this is just brilliant in this deck. Sweet. Alright, there you go. That's all you need to know about Springleaf Drum. You'll see it in the games, really. I've got 1 copy of Fatal Push. Just destroy a target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. There's not really much more to say about that. I haven't actually got any fetch lands. I've got, yeah, this kind of budget-ish mana base, so I haven't got any fetch lands. So this is essentially just going to be a kill something with converted mana cost 2 or less. That's fine. Sometimes that's all you need. You know, we could get lucky, something can get killed or exiled, and then we can, you know, use it for its better one. But for the most part, on our end, it's just kill something with convert mana cost 2 or less. I've got 1 copy of Go for the Throat. Destroy target non-artifact creature, kind of self-explanatory. Just a very good 2 mana cost removal spell. I've got 4 copies of Kitesail Firebooter. No, Freebooter, sorry, Firebooter. You may have noticed there's no inspired creatures yet. I am getting to it. This is just a great thing to come down and interrupt our opponents, and it will crew most of our vehicles, which is pretty sweet. When it enters battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. Exile that card until Kitesail Freebooter leaves the battlefield. Good stuff. So we get to remove something of theirs, and we get to crew with it, which is sweet. So now let's get to some inspired creatures, which makes it actually worthwhile. I've got 4 copies of Painseer. So it's got inspired, as I said. And when Painseer becomes untapped, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's convert mana cost. So it essentially turns into a Bob, which is kind of sweet. So this is going to be kind of our card advantage engine. So whenever we're crewing, we hopefully by our next upkeep, you know, we get to draw a card, which would be pretty sweet. And it's a 2-drop for 2, so you know, bear is always good. This is one of the best cards in the deck, if not the best. Probably actually the sort of build around for it. Disciple of Deceit. So it's got inspired, duh. And whenever it becomes untapped, you may discard a non-land card. If you do, search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost as that card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So this is incredible in this deck. One, it can crew most things we have. We've got the crew cost for pretty much everything is 1, except for one vehicle. And it allows us to play a lot of one-offs. So if we let's say we draw a Springleaf Drum, but we need removal. We go get a Fatal Push, or we go get a Night Market Lookout if we need another creature, or we get a Gul'Draz Assassin. That's great. That's just for a 1-drop. Same happens with 2-drops. We've got a Go for the Throat, and we've got some more stuff in the sideboard, which I'll show you, which is just more. We've just got a lot of one-offs, and each converted mana cost going up to 3. That deals with a lot of stuff. So it's kind of our toolbox sort of card. It will be better post-sideboarding, I would imagine. But it is pretty sweet. I thoroughly like the idea of this card. Never played with it before, so we shall see how it goes. We've also got 4 copies of Scrapheap Scrounger. This was good back in Standard back in the day, and it's still good now. It can't block, which is a shame, but for 2 mana, we get a 3/2, which is awesome. Plus, we also can pay 2, exile another creature card from our graveyard, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. So it's just a recurring threat, which allows us to keep using vehicles. We always need a creature on the battlefield just to get our creatures going, so it's very, very, very important. And trust me, this deck, I've got a feeling we're going to have a lot of our stuff get killed, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not going to sit on the battlefield long with some of these triggers going off and that. Okay, 4 copies of good old faithful Smuggler's Copter, banned and standing because it was so great, and it's pretty good in modern too. It's just a 3/3 fly for 2, but with crew 1. When it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So it's just another way other than Painseer, just to get through our deck and keep drawing cards. A very, very, very good card. I mean, if they haven't got removal at instant speed, this will just win the, this can win the game by itself. Awesome, awesome card. So I've got 1 copy of Hero's Downfall. As I said, because of the Disciple of Deceit, it's nice to have removal in one of each, convert mana cost brackets, as it were. So Hero's Downfall is what I put up here. It's great because it deals with creatures, all creatures, and deals with planeswalkers, which there's going to be a lot of. So it's good to have that. That which I'm happy about. So 2 of the more these are the rest of the vehicles. So 2 copies of Aethersphere Aethersphere? I'm going to go Aethersphere Harvester. It's crew 1, 3/5 flyer, 3, which is awesome. Comes in with 2 of the energy tokens or counters, and you get to pay 1 and gains lifelink to 1. This is actually quite good because with Painseer we're going to have, some issues. Let's say, just in case we start, getting all our 4-drops and 3-drops and all that stuff, we keep drawing them in a row, we could really, really hurt ourselves. So it's good to have Aethersphere Harvester just because of that, really. Also, it's just it's a big flyer for 3 mana. It's just great. Smash face, just like Smuggler's Copter. So as long as it's tapping stuff, we don't mind. And this is the one of the spiciest ones in the deck. No one plays this card, but Mobile Garrison. So 3/4, for 3, that's fine. Crew 2, which is a little bit more expensive. So our Disciple of Deceit, Night Market Lookout, Gul'Draz Assassin. They can't crew it, but luckily other vehicles and other creatures will be able to crew it. The good thing about this one is whenever it attacks another artifact or creature you control, you can untap it, which is just great because that essentially means we can get 2 triggers off each of our inspired creatures, it's just so much value. It's fantastic. So only the 2 copies because don't want to make Aethersphere Harvester is just as important, and Smuggler's Copter is probably the most important just for card filtering. And you don't really want multiple copies of this down purely because of the crew cost, but yeah, 2 copies of this is great. Once it starts going off, it's gonna really go off. That's the plan anyway. I've no idea. I've never played this deck, so we'll see how it goes. And then last but not least, King Makar the Gold Cursed, legendary creature. It's inspired, obviously. 2/3 for 4, which is a bit steep, but whenever it becomes untapped, you may exile target creature. If you do, create a colorless artifact token named Gold. It has sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. So not only is it ramp, which, you know, to be fair, by the time we get to 4-drop, we don't really need any ramp, but it's purely for that exile target creature ability. This is going to be our removal, and hopefully if we have a copy down, we're going to get rid of 1 a turn. If we've got a mobile garrison down, maybe get rid of 2 creatures a turn. It's just a lot to keep up with if it's not removed, and a lot of creature decks may struggle with it. It's just an awesome, awesome card. But yeah, that is it. I hope I did a good job explaining it. I feel like I was a bit all over the place this week. I've got lands, kind of budget-y lands. I'm not sure how... I keep saying budget because I play it, and so I assume it's budget, but I'm certain Darkslick Shores isn't budget. But let's go through it. This is what I've used. You can completely use your own mana base. You got to remember, with Disciple of Deceit, just make sure... Oh, well, you discard a non-land card. That doesn't matter anyway. So I've just got a Academy Ruins. It's pretty good. Put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. It's pretty sweet. A Desert, just a one-off because I kind of like the idea of this card. I've had it used against me once or twice, and it's just pretty cool against some small creature decks. Just a colorless, but deals 1 damage to target attacking creature. Activate its ability only during the end of combat step. So, you know, we've got a lot of 1-drops. This could be very useful against aggro, goblins, all that stuff. 4 copies of Creeping Tar Pits. Not only is it dual mana, it's also a creature for us to be able to crew, so we could get board wiped or anything like that. Creeping Tar Pit is just great because it can crew everything vehicle-wise, and that's pretty much what we need. Plus it's unblockable, so even if we've got rid of our creatures, got rid of our vehicles, you know, worst comes to worst, we can just smash with a 3/2, you know, unblockable creature, which is pretty sweet. 4 copies of Darkslick Shores. These are not quite budget. It's probably one of the more expensive lands I own. It's pretty self-explanatory. When it enters the battlefield, tapped unless you control 2 of your other lands. So on turn 1, 2, and 3, it's always going to be untapped, which is pretty sweet because our converter mana cost only goes up to 4 at the highest. Kind of a bit like with Creeping Tar Pit, just 1 copy of Fairy Conclave. It's in the deck for the same reason that Creeping Tar Pit is. Other than it's a 2/1 flyer and it's slightly cheaper to use, which is quite useful. Got 1 island, got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yep, 4 swamps. I've got 2 Tectonic Edges, just for, you know, just for destroying lands, you know how it goes. And 2 copies of Watery Grave. I actually do own some Shocklands, you'd be surprised to hear. I thought I'd put the 2 copies I do own in. Usually in my budget decks I try to avoid using these. However, I feel like I'm so up against it with this deck already. I kind of want to be able to maximize how my lands kind of work. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right, sideboard. Boom. The good thing is, because we have Disciple of Deceit, I can play a lot of one-offs again. So I've tried to make... This is what I've tried to do. I've tried to make it so I've got 1 counter or an anti-control thing, 1 piece of removal, and... Well, you'll see what I mean. So for the 1-drop thing, I can tutor off. I've got Turn Aside, counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. I think this would be more useful than a lot of other stuff, just because I've got a feeling our stuff is going to get a lot of spot removal. So I think this is quite cool. It's for one, no one expects Turn Aside, so that's kind of cool. I've got 1 copy of Thoughtseize. Target player reveals his or her hand. They choose an online card from it. That player discards card. You lose 2 life. Self-explanatory. Very good card. I've got 1 copy of Unearth. We've got pretty much everything. It has got converted mana cost 3 or less, so it's nice to be able to get a creature back from our graveyard. I've got a Pithy Needle for planeswalkers and stuff like that. Okay, so 2-drop. I've got 1 pack rat. I put 1 pack rat in purely because we've got a lot of 2-drops, so we can easily tutor it out. And also, it's one of those cards where, you know, if you're kind of empty-handed, or you're kind of, especially if your opponent's empty-handed, you know, and it's a bit of a stalemate. If you slam a pack rat and then each turn you draw a card, discard it instantly, make a rat, you can just steal games with pack rat. So that's 100% why it's in. And I don't know why, but I've decided to use Tyrant of Scorn. Destroy a target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less. So, you know, you want to just like modern. That's essentially all of modern. So I think that's going to be pretty much straight up just removal, which is great. And I can also return target creature to its owner's hand if I fancy it. That's probably not going to happen. unless it's more than 3 convert mana cost. But I just thought it was just great removal for a 2-drop slot, especially in Dimir colours. Pretty great. I've got a counter school. It's just a negate, but for Dimir, controller can counter target non-creature spell. Is controller loses 2 life. Easy. I've got Fort Erasure because I just wanted something that was a bit like Thoughtseize, but in a 2 mana drop. So target opponent reveals their hand. You choose an online card from it. That player discards card and survey 1. Easy. I've got 1 Damping Sphere for Tron and Storm decks. Because of the Disciple, I only have to play 1 of them, which is pretty sweet. In the 3 mana spot, I've got a little bit more. Lost Legacy. Choose a non-artifact, non-land card name. Search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name and exile them. That player shuffles their library, that draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. So this is just an awesome card. If we can manage to get if they've got like a certain card which is a build around, or they've got like Titans, Escape Shift and stuff like that, it just gets rid of that card indefinitely, which is very important. We don't really have much like artifact or enchantment to hate at all in this deck, so this is kind of not for artifact, but it's just our best way of getting rid of stuff that we just won't be able to deal with in this colours, which is kind of useful. Keeping with the plan of kind of having varied sideboard cards, I've got 1 copy of Doomfall to kind of be our Thoughtseize and Fort Erasure of the 3-drop. Target opponent exiles a card, exiles creature they control, or target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, exile it. So pretty awesome stuff. I've got more removal. I've got 1 more copy of Hero's Downfall. It might be needed if they've got a lot of creatures, and if Planeswalkers especially. It's just very, very good. Very self-explanatory. For the counter spell at the 3-drop, I've got Disallow. I thought it was probably best. There was a few I was kind of toying around with, but I thought Disallow was just pretty sweet. Can counter activate abilities as well, so it's just very good. And on top of that, I've got 2 kind of Planeswalkers for utility purposes. So I shot Dream Renderer. Render. Spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause their controller to search their library. I think that's very good. That's good against control and all that stuff. And also artifact, instant and sorcery spells your opponent casts 1 more to cast with Dovin Hand of Control, which is pretty sweet. You may have noticed I haven't put any graveyard hate in, and I kind of I was just kind of thinking, why aren't I doing that? I should probably do that. Hold on the fly, guys. Check this out. Let's get check this out. We're gonna do on the fly. I just realised I didn't have it. So what's the quickest and easy way to get rid of a graveyard? Boudreaux Bog. Done. Right. That's completely all you need to know. So yeah. So that there is the deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm really hoping it works. It probably won't, but I'm kind of really hoping this kind of works in a broken way. But we shall see. So if you like the video, please subscribe, please comment, blah blah blah. And I do apologise if I was a bit more incoherent this morning, I guess. I've just kind of woken up and I'm kind of still tired. I've got to get as much recording in as before my girlfriend gets home. Right. I'll see you guys later on and see you guys for the games. Bye.